Over the years, I've refinished a lot of furniture, but I've never quite had anything that was this damaged. Nor have I questioned, can I even fix it? This poor Hope chest, I don't even know how this happened. The owners weren't sure how this happened, but they inherited this chest. It has a lot of meaning. This whole chunk was somehow completely blasted out of the front, and it left with this big void. So, the goal is to see if we can salvage this chest. Is it savable? I'm not sure. Thankfully, the owners kept that piece. I was like, thank goodness this piece is here, or I would be having to completely rebuild it from scratch. However, I could not quite figure out how in the world it came out of there, because I was looking for which way did it, obviously it was probably pushed in, but because of the way the wood was so jagged, I just couldn't quite get it back to fit where it needed to go. So I got the latch taken off the front and I start getting it in here, and I'm thinking I could just kind of snap this in place. No, wasn't happening. There were so many rough little pieces of wood that had splintered out that it wouldn't allow it to go back into place. So I got my Dremel out and started messing with it, seeing if I could smooth some of those areas down. And I had to do quite a bit of that. So I did it on this big piece that's detached. And then I started working on the cabinet itself because it had a lot of rough areas too. So I had to get everything smoothed in, and then it's just keep trying it in. I did this several times to see, will it fit in back into place? Because I can't go anywhere if I can't get this piece to fit. Otherwise, I figured I was going to just be cutting a straight edge across there and fitting another piece of wood in. But this is the best fix if I can get it to work. So I think with all the smoothing down, I have it for pretty much fitted down into place. So I'm going to go ahead and slather this with wood glue. And this is obviously not a clean cut. It's jagged on both sides, on the cabinet itself, on the chest, and that, I don't even know what to call that, big fragment. And I put a lot of glue on there, and I am going to smooth it all out just to make sure everything is covered. So I'm going to try this back in again. And of course, now with the glue, you're like, please fit, because now that I have glue all over it, I'm working against the clock. So it's time for me to get out every clamp I own. Now, I was going to put pieces of wood across here, and I did a couple, but I found that it was working better to have the individual clamps all over, just because this is so all over the place. That area did okay with the wood, and here I am pulling out clamps I hardly ever use. I've just got to get as many clamps on here as I can to hold this huge piece in place. Now I put a bar clamp on the end also, and then what I'm doing now is drilling holes, filling it with glue, putting some dowels down in it. So there, I'm putting the glue in there. The dowels go down inside because I don't want this to move. I figured it would be held in place with the glue, but if somebody bumped it, it would just fall back in. So I think the dowels will really keep that in place. And here we are. How many clamps do you need? A lot. I don't think you can have too many clamps, and I felt like I didn't have enough, but I'm working with it as best I can. I also decided to put some brad nails in, because why not? I mean, this family said, if you can save this, it would be great. If you can't, that's okay too. They have no idea how this happened. It was her father's, and of course, these things hold sentimental value. So I'm doing my best. Now, this tray that goes across there was just really leaning, but this had been disconnected. That hinge right there had been disconnected for so long that it was just hanging there. So once I got that connected, it was all good. Now, I'm working with a couple of little areas that broke off during the trauma or accident, whatever happened to this, and I'm just taking the nails out of it. I've got it in my vise to hold it in place so I can get these nails out. I'm being gingerly with this piece because it is a custom piece that goes in the top, and you'll see in a second here why I definitely don't want to break this, because this is a piece that I really don't want to have to rebuild. And this little piece is the other part of the latch. It sits right up there and it holds part of the latch. So pretty important little piece. My goal is, when this is all done, will it actually latch after all of this? So again, I'm going to glue that into place, and it sort of had a little spot where you could, wiggle it around, and it sort of snapped up in there, and you're like, okay, you're home. I think that will be a nice fix there. That repair I was pretty confident with. All right, I let that sit for a full day and everything's dry. Time to get all these clamps off of here and see what we're working with. Will the lid close? Yes, the lid closes. And it looks pretty straight across the top edge there. And this is the scar behind. Of course, it's marred with all the glue now. I'll be sanding all that off because the cedar is just beautiful. And cedar is pretty forgiving if you sand it. But this is, wow. There's still a lot of gouges, a lot of little areas there that I've got to fix. So we're going to go in with some Bondo. Now this piece is obviously not one that we're going to strip and stain. The owners were just like, please save it. We don't even want to stain it. We just want it painted. This is part of their entire bedroom suite that they're doing, and I'm refinishing all of the pieces. And so we're going to just make this part of the set. I think that this is going to be set up really well, you know, to do all of these repairs because it's getting painted. Now, had they wanted this stained, I'd probably have to put new veneer on the front. But there's a pretty good repair. I'm also filling in all those holes from where the dowels were. Now on the back side, of course, where that area is in the back, there's a bunch of chunks missing. And of course that whole area is scarred across there as well. And I did that inside with wood filler. Now I have some more veneer repairs to make, and I'm going to do a little bit more Bondo just to take care of those areas around the base that are chipped. While the Bondo's setting up, I'm going to clean up this. Just getting that all clean. I actually sanded it down because it was a little pitted and it cleaned up so nice. That latch is going to be pretty. So here we are. We're sort of patched up. Got some Bondo on. We're looking pretty good. I'm feeling like this, okay, maybe I can repair this. Because, wow, this has been a little touch and go for a bit. Now it's time to just get everything sanded. So, of course, this is getting painted, and I'm having to do a lot more than just a little scuff sand because the finish is so damaged. And I want to make sure I get everything smoothed out. This is getting all of that wood filler on the inside. See, it's coming up pretty good on the inside. And now with a sanding net on my surf prep, I did the outside. I'm probably going to have to do several rounds of Bondo because there's just a lot of defects around here that needed to be repaired. Here we go with round 2. Just have more veneer to repair. And it's coming along. I know it's looking really ugly, but it's got to get ugly before it gets pretty. And I know we're ugly right now, but I see so much potential and feeling so much better about this repair. All right, into the tent we go. We're going to start with some primer. I'm going to start with a shellac primer because this will seal everything in so I don't have any tannins leaching out through the paint. And if you look closely, look at that grain, but also that seam. And those seams drive me kind of nuts. So I didn't want to get caulking all in the grain because then you could totally see it. So I put a piece of tape there. So all I'm caulking is that exact seam, and now it's gone. Okay, I let everything set. I did give it a quick scuff sand, and this is my regular primer. And it's just going right over the top of the shellac. Look at that. Can you believe this is how far we've come? Now, I was noticing the wood grain variations right there. I didn't like it, so I covered it with more Bondo and sanded it, and look at all the grain that got filled in. So I needed to cover that with primer. And now we can start painting. And this is getting painted a beautiful creamy white. This is actually Swiss coffee. And she chose this color, and I think it's a beautiful color for this set that we're doing for her. And this chest is going to look gorgeous in white. All right, I sanded everything, and I'm just wiping it back for the second coat. I ended up doing 3 coats just to make sure I had full coverage, and wow, this is looking fantastic. Okay, top coat, and again, I did multiple layers of top coat. Once that's all dry, it's time to get everything reassembled. I'm getting the latch back in. This is the lock on the front. Flathead screws are my favorite. I'm just kidding. They are not my favorite. And look at that pole. It was so rusted and pitted. I'm like, can I save it? I'm going to try to rescue this pole. So I got everything sanded. I got a lot of the debris out of it. And it's a completely inconsistent color. So I decided to go in with my favorite metallic gold spray paint. And here I am getting all the overspray off. So you can see it's just sort of like a mist across there. And I don't like that. I like things to be clean. Let's take a quick look back at where we started. And here we are now. Can you believe what this poor chest has been through? With where it started and that huge repair to where it is now, it's just amazing that this even survived. I hope you like this makeover as much as I do, and be sure to follow for more.